Greetings once again, pirates on the high seas. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with One Piece. Now then, a lot happened last chapter. Bartholomew Kuma, or his, animated corpse, was able to make his way up to the sacred land of Marijoa, causing a lot of destruction, only to be met by Fleet Admiral Kizaru. And while a scuffle ensued where, to a certain degree like Whitebeard, Kuma ended up losing part of his face along with a foot, Kuma then teleported himself away. Was he only making his way up to the top of the red line to get to the other side? Is it that Kuma's abilities, if your destination is on the other end of the red line, you'll end up smashing into it? Interesting. We also know that a lot of the celestial dragons aren't quite able to get their favorite meals because of what the Revolutionary Army did. Their plan is working. Destabilization. It'll cause the celestial dragons to become a lot more desperate in their wants and needs, causing them to lash out at more kingdoms, causing the likelihood of more uprising. At least that's my opinion. But Sakazuki, he thinks back to Bonnie, about how she believed that Kuma's intentions went far beyond just giving up his body. So he wonders if maybe there was something more to Kuma surrendering himself. Meanwhile, back at Egghead, the Sea Beast weapons have pretty much all been dealt with by the Pacifista Mark III, as well as the Marines have now invaded the Fabriophage, meaning that they're there without a fight. Speaking of fight, the ensuing battle of Luffy versus Kizaru is underway. And, well, if you thought Gear 4 could manage against the Admiral, you were dead wrong. Because much like taking on Kaido, it's no easy feat. Which I always think of, is like, some people are just like, oh man, Luffy can beat Kaido, now he's so strong. It's just like, yeah, Luffy beat Kaido under extenuating circumstances. If Luffy were to fight Kaido again, he'd have an easier time, but not an easy time. Easier time. And that's what I feel here. Luffy is good at having an easier time of fighting Kizaru, but it's far from easy, as Kizaru in one strike manages to knock Luffy through the Vega Force 1 that was running with the Sunny, through the Frontier Dome's security system, sending him down, something that he does to Bonnie as well. But it's not all bad news. Atlas, Edison, and Vegapunk have managed to get through York's encryption, but once they radio Frankie, things aren't really going to plan, as Kizaru pops right inside to where the Vegapunks and the Straw Hats are, only for a gigantic Gear 5 Luffy to come inside, Attack on Titan style, having worked his way back through the security system of the Frontier Dome to get back. So Luffy, he's been getting the business. But strangely enough, despite the fact that Luffy has gone into Gear 5 before, this time around, the Iron Giant in the scrap heap has awoken, having heard the drums of liberation from Luffy's Gear 5 transformation. Why is this? Why didn't it happen the first time around? Maybe it's something that the longer Luffy stays in Gear 5, the longer this happens? And does this tie into Zunisha? Who exactly is able to hear the drums? Because so far, if the Iron Giant could hear it as well, that's only 2 people. What makes them so special? Is it simply because they're so old? Or is there more to it than that? Questions abound. It's Luffy versus Kizaru. What'll happen? Join me as I find out. Won't you? Oh, and that's the title of the chapter. One Piece chapter 1093, Luffy versus Kizaru. Pretty on the nose. And Kobe and Helmeppo on the cover. Nice. Reader requests, Tarsier Brothers stealing Kobe and Helmeppo's eyewear by Black Beans. Oh, that's cute. Helmeppo's eyewear is actually kind of cool. It's probably expensive too, knowing him. I wonder how many of the Straw Hats are seeing Luffy's Gear 5 for the first time. So you have a gigantic Gear 5 Luffy sitting on the rubble of the building holding Kizaru, just yucking it up. As Usopp calls out to Luffy, Kizaru simply says, well, this is no good. Now, let's not get carried away, he says as Luffy begins to just wind up his hand and just chucks Kizaru into the distance. As Luffy floats up above, He just laughs. Go, yeah. Look at him fly. Meanwhile, the others inside say, hurry, let's run for now. While Luffy's holding off Kizaru. Oh, let's run for it now. Though Chopper then says, does he have bandages? Was he bandaging up Stussy? He says, where are you going, Atlas? Atlas turns to them, readying her rocket pack, saying, I'm going down below to take control of the pacifistas again. Otherwise, we'll be zapped by their lasers as soon as the barrier is down. Edison says, that's the best idea, because for the moment, there's no higher authority here than Vegapunk. Whoever controls the pacifistas win. Vegapunk then says, wait, Atlas, I'll go with you. Usopp says, huh? What makes you think you're allowed to do that? This whole thing is happening because people are after your life, man. Vegapunk says, but Frankie, listen, Frankie. It seems like Bonnie is down below now. Frankie says, she's alive? Glad to hear it. Kizaru kicked her right into the barrier, so I was worried. I think it's Sanji who says, how does a grown man let you let her get kicked? Frankie says, sorry, my bad. I'll go help her as soon as I can, but the barrier... Or was that Vegapunk who was shouting? Because then we cut to Building A, second floor, where Sanji chimes in saying, this is Sanji speaking, if Bonnie needs to be rescued, I'm there. Meanwhile, Jinbei is carrying something next to Sanji saying, we picked up all your so-called luggage for you, Vegapunk. I'll head toward the rear exit. Let's all meet up there. Meanwhile, down below, in the Fabriophage, there's a commotion. Marines yell out, stay away from the center of town. We believe that the pirate Jewelry Bonnie is there. She's lurking somewhere, just watch out. She'll tweak your age. And we see that several Marines have been turned into either little babies or old men. One little baby says, darn it, while an old man says, now where'd she scamper off to? Oh, hey, Bonnie was durable enough to take that. Shit. But we've seen that laser grid will fry you something fierce. It's kind of the equivalent of NL's like lightning. It's like it'll do a number on you, but you won't die. We see Bonnie complete with her hood up, which I love her when she has the hood up. It looks good. She's hiding behind some rubble, huffing and puffing, saying, damn it. As the Marines say, find her and take her out. One person comes over the intercom saying, I've spotted Sentomaru. He's burnt to a crisp. Bonnie turns saying, Sentomaru? Oh, is that what happened? So back when Bonnie came bursting through the security dome, she was plummeting. I was wondering how she managed to survive the fall, unless she has some kind of skywalk or something. But Sentomaru, despite being beaten to shit, managed to catch her. Bonnie looks up saying, Sentomaru? Sentomaru says, Bonnie, run before the Navy gets here. As she hides, she calls out to Sentomaru. We then pick up in the current time with Bonnie thinking to herself, what do I do? Can I manage to stay hidden until it all blows over? It's hard to say. I was kind of hoping we get to see like some real genuine combat out of Bonnie though. Not saying that we haven't seen that from her from time to time, but given her abilities, I figured she'd at least be knocking heads. We then pop back up to the Labophage, with Luffy still yucking it up in the sky above the building saying, ah ha ha ha, what's that? Are you fighting, Zoro? You want help? Meanwhile, Zoro's battling out against Rob Lucci, and it looks like they're pretty evenly matched, all things considered. Okay, not bad. I like the idea that, if nothing else, Rob Lucci is Yonko Commander level. Zoro tells them, just focus on Kizaru, man. And they are going at it. Zoro's even activated his, what was it called when he ignites his swords with those flames? Okay, I had to look it up real quick. Yeah, he's using Conqueror's Haki on his sword. So, okay. Using Conqueror's Haki against Rob Lucci, and Rob Lucci is holding his own. And he even has the Armament Haki on it too. Zoro says to Lucci, if this is the best you can do, I wouldn't expect to get a shot at fighting our captain. Lucci says, haha, we'll see. But the number 2 of an Emperor of the Sea is more than worth killing on his own. Not wrong. I mean, we've applauded Luffy plenty of times when he's taken on the number 2, and Zoro as well, so I mean, all things considered, if he's holding his own against Zoro. Meanwhile, we pick up with Kizaru, who is just, like, I want to almost say a mile out from Egghead, but he seems just completely nonplussed, arms folded, saying, seem to be falling toward the ocean. And then he just simply redirects himself. And he uses Yasakani's sacred jewel, sending out millions of light particles back towards Egghead, dispersing himself and going with the flow. Whoa. Oh, that's not good. Luffy then spots the particles of light approaching him, and each of those particles turn into an individual Kizaru. The only difference is they're a little bit lighter than the regular Kizaru. I feel like that's something that we need the anime to tell us, further show us what the visual distinction is there. Is it that all of those versions of Kizaru look like yellow with light? Or are they just a little faded? The Kizarus then bring out their light swords using Amano Marakumo sword, and they go slashing at Luffy, who barely manages to dodge, though they do manage to draw some blood. Luffy goes in with Gum Gum Damn Whip, whipping his leg through the Kizarus, and they just pass through the light forms. Luffy then begins to run away, saying that was a hollow. Which one's the real one? I love that Luffy still thinks of Perona when it comes to stuff like that, but as all the Kizarus follow him in a specific pattern, Luffy turns to them saying, "Tricked ya, Gum Gum, Dawn Stamp." Whoa. He hockeys up his foot, ramming it through all the Kizarus, and they all disperse. Luffy goes, did I get the real one too? But suddenly there's an explosion back inside the laboratory, and as Luffy looks down, he's shocked. Oh, to see Kizaru holding Usopp up by the neck as Nami and Brook try to go at him. Luffy yells out, "Yeah, you tricked me!" Usopp calls out for Luffy as Kizaru says, that's strange. Where could Vegapunk be? But we then see Vegapunk and Atlas riding out in the Vega Tank 8, was essentially a bubble with cloud wheels bursting out of the side of the laboratory. Luffy notices this, but Sanji's hanging on the top too, saying, "Hang on, let me in too, Vegapunk. What's gotten into you? You look crazy." And Vegapunk calls out, "Don't you dare touch her, Navy. Hang on, Bonnie, I'm coming to save you. I won't leave that poor little child behind to die." It's odd to see Vegapunk more passionate about saving someone than Sanji is. Luffy is shocked as he sees this, saying, "Appleman, don't go into the open, he'll kill you." And of course Kizaru does see this and prepares a light beam to blast at Vegapunk, saying, "And where do you think you're going, Vegapunk?" But as he fires off, Luffy eats it? Oh. He eats the shot, and suddenly light starts emanating out of Luffy's eyes and nose and mouth, and he shouts, "It burns!" He's still laughing as he just starts lighting up. Next we see Frankie has jumped onto the Vega Tank 8 as well, saying, "I'll go too." And while they're running off, Vegapunk says, "Lilith, use General Frankie to..." I guess Frankie says, "Lilith, use General Frankie to carry the ship." Lilith says, "Okay." Oh wow, he's letting someone else pilot the General Frankie. Usually when the General Frankie is formed, Frankie's the only one who actually uses it. Interesting. We then cut over to the coast of Egghead as the Marines call out, "Alert, Dr. Vegapunk has descended from the labo phase." Edison tells them, partially deactivating the Frontier Dome, reactivating soon. And we see the Vega Tank 8 coming out of the Labo phase down to the Fabrio phase. Atlas then calls out, "Attention all pacifistas, Vegapunk has new orders. Wipe out all Navy sailors." And the pacifistas hear this, wipe out all Navy sailors on the island. But it seems as though St. J. Garcia Saturn has also heard this. So now that one of the Vegapunks have given orders, will he make himself known in order to turn the tide of this battle? Because it seemed like the Vice Admirals were doing pretty well against the pacifistas, but they do want to keep the pacifistas too. So the question is, how much value do they place in the pacifistas? And is it worth exposing that one of the 5 elders is here? Not to mention, I gotta say, I kind of love the fact that Luffy is still having a hard time against Kizaru. Like, Gear 5, between this fight with Kizaru and the fight with Kaido, Gear 5 is not an instant win. It is still a struggle to take these dudes on. Like, Lucci, he had an easier time, but between another Yonko and an Admiral? Oh, baby. I also kind of have to wonder, Sentomaru caught Bonnie. There's some deep connection with Bonnie as well between all of them. Kizaru, Vegapunk, Sentomaru. What happened in the past. There is some deeper meaning going on here that we're still not privy to. It's also still just wild that Sentomaru was still able to get up. I mean, is he down for the count now, or is he just faking it? He's just resting, more or less. I mean, with what's going on, Vegapunk's putting himself in harm's way to save Bonnie. I'm so curious. Dang, I hate the fact that we don't know Kuma's memories. I mean, I'm glad we got all that other stuff that we cut off to, but I really want to know what happened in Kuma's memories. Man, I really hope the anime gives us a little bit more. Unless Oda actually shows some of what happened when we cut away, I really hope the anime actually shows us stuff, because this is maddening. To be at this phase of things and still have so many questions. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.